Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/Neighbors from Hell for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the post, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Treat Girl. After years, I finally caught my neighbor stealing from me on camera. I moved into my apartment 4.5 years ago with my, at the time, infant child. My neighbor started acting strangely as soon as I moved in. If I didn't answer her knock at the door because I was in the middle of something, like feeding my child, she'd pound on my back door until I answered. Against my better judgment, she asked if we wanted to go to a store nearby with her. I agreed, and after we were done at the store, I put my child in the car seat behind her driver's seat. And as I walked to the other side to get in the passenger seat, she locked the doors, so I couldn't get in and did something to my child that made them wail uncontrollably. Talk about panic. She finally unlocked my door that I began pounding on, and I was trying to sing to my baby to get them to calm down. This crazy bitch started singing along with me. Excuse me, but my voice calms my child, not your voice, especially because you're the one who made him cry in the first place. After this, I just tried to keep my distance. We have a non-smoking policy at our apartment complex, and this woman kept smoking cigarettes and weed in her bathroom. Our bathroom vents are connected, and I asked her to stop smoking in the bathroom because the smoke was coming in my apartment. She got super defensive and lied about it, and then began stealing from me every chance she got. I'm low income and couldn't afford a security system, but earlier this year I was able to afford a Blink camera, and as soon as I installed it, the thieving stopped. Until Halloween. On Halloween, I put together pretty significant treat bags for the neighborhood kids, with Play-Doh, full-size candy bars, multiple smaller candy bars, inflatable snakes, etc. in them. I put out a sign that said, "Take one bag," in English and Spanish, and I caught this old hag looking directly at my sign and taking all of the treat bags. And to make matters worse, she wasn't wearing any pants, so when I posted the video on Facebook for my friends to see, they pointed out that you can see her nasty old person butt in the video. I don't know why management here won't do anything about her. The things I mentioned are really the tip of the iceberg. She's also allowed homeless people to camp out in her parking spot. She has visitors living there that aren't on the rental agreement. Constant traffic when we are supposed to have a parking permit to park in the parking lot. She's a super miserable human being, and I know karma will get her eventually, but I don't understand why management doesn't care about any of her lease-breaking habits. Edit, she gave me a ride to the store when I had known her for a week or two. I gave her the benefit of the doubt about accidentally locking me out. And she didn't know why my baby was crying, because at the time I knew nothing about her other than her being my elderly next-door neighbor who seemed to really like me and was supposedly good friends with the landlord. According to her, she was good friends with the landlord. Now, knowing everything I know about her, obviously that shit was intentional, but that was really in the first couple of weeks I had met her. Anyone saying I would have called the police or I would have beat her up. Don't know what you'll actually do until you're actually in that situation, and please remember, this is an elderly woman masquerading as a kind neighbor. I did report the thefts to the police, but they didn't do anything. I can't even imagine just having a neighbor who you know locked you out of their car, was alone with your child, did something, and then he started screaming and crying. I would make a report or something. I don't even fucking know what I would do. And that's not even touching the other behaviors she has, like wandering around the streets without any clothes on. What can be done in a situation like this? Is there like a CPS but for adults that you can call? I'm really unsure of what options you even have. Oh, and by the way, OP did post a photo of their neighbor grabbing the Halloween bags, and the fact that there is old lady ass on my feed right now. So that's something I'll never be able to unsee, and I have no intention of doing the same to you guys. So you're welcome. Only thing that I can really think of is just keeping a paper trail and getting all your ducks in a row, because you don't know what might end up happening a few months from now, where she might try to flip the script on you and call the cops on you, or maybe report you to the landlord. You don't know what she's gonna do, so keep a paper trail. EGB233. Neighbor runs a makeshift animal shelter, and it's becoming a serious problem. I had a neighbor move in down the road a few years after I bought my house. She has a pretty small house, and property records show she has about, half an acre of land. She fosters animals, or at least that's what she claims, and over the years she's had a pig, 4 goats, numerous dogs, cats, chickens, and rabbits. I have seen her set up for the pig and goats, she had them at different times, which is a 10 by 10 foot dog kennel. The goats routinely escape, and I've had to kick them off my porch on several occasions. They ate nearly all of my porch plants. The chickens are kept in a roughly 20 by 10 foot pen made of chicken wire, barely held up by wooden stakes. I don't even know the situation with the rabbits, but she did tell me once a bear broke into their enclosure and killed most of them. Her dogs, I think she currently has 6, run around the neighborhood. 2 are friendly and the rest are aggressive and bark at me and my kids in her own yard. The 2 friendly dogs have dug under my backyard and eaten all of my dog's food. Every time I fill in the holes they dug, they just dig another. As for the fostering, the only animal I ever saw her rehome was the pig. Several dogs have gone missing, and I know this because she messages me asking if I had seen them. I never see them again after that. Once I noticed one of the goats with a chain around its neck and tangled in its horns, and the chain was wrapped around a tree limb. I thought it was stuck, so I knock on the door to let her know where my husband untangled it. She comes out with no shirt on and tells me she put the goat there, and it's fine. So we leave. Maybe a few weeks later, my husband was helping our other neighbor move a camper with his truck, so he had to pull up near her house to back the camper in. She later messages the other neighbor accusing him and my husband of trying to peek at her while she had no clothes on. She also has a few kids and goes through boyfriends pretty frequently. On more than one occasion, I have heard the children, her, or a man screaming and yelling like something bad was happening. Oh, and once I walked her goats back to her house and the smell was putrid. Feces from dogs, chickens, and goats all mixed in with the heat of summer. It was awful. I don't know, it's just wild. I'd like to confront her about her dogs breaking into my backyard, but she's tried to run me off the road before, so I don't want any retaliation from her. Also, I feel bad denying her dogs food if they're actually hungry. This sounds like she might have an animal hoarding problem, and this can lead to some serious dangerous conditions for not just the animals, but herself, as well as her children. And it's probably within not just your best interest, but the children's best interest and the animals' best interests to possibly contact the city or some form of animal control or some kind of service that can help properly rehome the animals to an environment that's suitable for them. I also really hope she keeps all her animals up to date on their shots and vaccines, because this could be a massive problem, especially if her dogs are breaking into your backyard and they're not properly vaccinated. It sounds like your neighbor could be in serious need of help, and I'm honestly not sure what steps you should take to help her, but I definitely have an idea of what steps you can take to help the people around her who might be suffering because of her condition. Also, do what you can to make sure that when you're making those reports, they know to make them anonymously, because if she already has road rage and you have a fear that she might retaliate, definitely do what you can to keep yourself safe. B-Chaps Raps. Neighbors scratching on my apartment door in the middle of the night. Last Sunday, I was putting together a new dresser I had bought in the rear bedroom of my apartment. The bedroom door was open and I could see down the main hallway into the living room where my fiancé was standing with the 2 kids while they were playing. This is about 7:30 p.m. A knock comes on the door. My 6-year-old son runs to the door and opens it, even though he knows he's not supposed to. We're working on this. He was coming down from his birthday party excitement and just went for it, probably thinking someone else was stopping by for his party, even though it was long over. A woman is at the door. I recognize her as an upstairs neighbor from the other side of the building. She says she needs help and walks straight into the apartment. She began frantically talking nonsense, saying she was locked out of the building. She is in the building. Saying she can't get into her apartment but couldn't get in the building, then in the same breath saying she can't get into her apartment. She appears extremely disoriented and keeps saying she's just so exhausted or really tired over and over again. She appears very out of it, not balancing very well, speech pattern is sloppy, appears to be in some sort of light daze, and to me, immediately, it appeared she was having some sort of episode. As soon as I stepped foot near her, I could tell something fishy was going on. She continued to talk in circles and not make any sense, saying her parents were going to be so worried if she didn't check in with them. She lives alone. She begins repeatedly asking us to call numbers for her. Her phone is in her hand, on the video record setting, but I can see she is not recording. She's rolling something in her pocket over and over. It appears to be a screwdriver. As she is telling my fiancé numbers to dial, she cannot come up with the numbers. Every phone number she gave us to call for help was multiple digits short. They were not phone numbers. Then, when I said that's not enough numbers to make a phone number, she would switch to a different phone number. And then stop halfway through saying it. This happened about 7 to 8 times, and finally I had enough. She kept saying her phone wasn't working, so I had to let her try to use my phone, but she ended up just standing there, holding it, not using it, just holding onto it continuously, talking nonsense. I'm thoroughly uncomfortable at this point and very upset that this woman has entered my apartment without invitation and is acting this way around my children. I tell my fiance to take the kids to the back of the house, and I try to coax the woman out by saying, "Let's go check out your apartment. Come with me, we'll see if it's open." I try to lead her out of my apartment, but she says she's so exhausted and needs to sit down, and proceeds to just sit down on my living room couch. I'm not thrilled with this. In fact, I'm livid, but I keep my cool and realize I'm dealing with crazy. My fiance flanks her from the back so she cannot get further into the apartment and near the children again. I continue trying to coax her out. After about 5 minutes of trying to convince her to leave our apartment and come with me to check hers out, she finally walks ever so slowly out of our basement apartment. I'm a stairway ahead of the woman already, telling her to follow me up to her apartment. On the way to her apartment, she attempts to get me into 2 other apartments that are not hers. I tell her each time that is not her apartment. When I arrive at her apartment, the door is wide open. She has not caught up with me yet, so I take a quick glance inside the door. The couch cushions are thrown everywhere, and the living room is looking torn up and turned upside down. She arrives behind me and tries again to get into another neighbor's apartment across the hall from hers. I tell her that is not her apartment, but hers is here and is wide open. Finally, I get her to go inside her apartment. When she does, she apologizes to me, saying, "I'm so sorry, this is how we had to meet. I'm just so exhausted." I say it's okay and quickly head back downstairs to my apartment. I have such an uneasy feeling that I decide to call the cops and let them know some woman who I have never spoken to before showed up at my door asking for help acting disoriented. They said they will send someone to check on her. An hour later, the police arrive and knock on her door. No answer. They leave. 4:15 a.m. rolls around. My 6-year-old son and 1-year-old daughter have been asleep through the night, as have myself and my fiance. I get up to use the bathroom. As I'm using the bathroom, I hear a light knock on the apartment door. So lightly, I actually second-guessed if I heard it. I call out to my fiance to ask her if she heard a knock at the door too. She says she didn't hear it. We both head towards the living room together just to see if we hear anything. No sooner do we step foot in the living room, we began to hear scratching at our front door. The unmistakable sound of someone clawing at your door is not something I wish for anyone to hear in the middle of the night. It is truly horrifying. I tell my fiance to be with the kids and make sure they're okay. I open the door to find the woman from earlier standing at the top of the flight of stairs in front of my apartment, just looking down, staring at the door. It's fucking terrifying. So, I told her, no fucking way are we doing this shit. Proceed to call her a crazy bitch and tell her to get the fuck away from my apartment and stay away from my family. I also told her I'm calling the cops right now. She scurries away, out of sight, presumably back to her apartment, and I immediately call the police. They show up and ask her all of the mental health questions, which she apparently answered adequately, so they said there's nothing they can do. This woman was clearly in some sort of state and is now harassing me and my family and disturbing our peace and the safety of my children. They told her to stay away from us, and I haven't seen her in a week since then, but I can't help but to continue to think about it. Ever since the first time she entered the apartment acting crazy, I have had this pit in my stomach and this uneasy feeling that whatever this is not over. I still don't know what it was that was going on, and it makes me feel so uneasy. I don't know what to make of it. Our other neighbor who we're cool with said that her doorknob has been jiggled by someone in the middle of the night. Putting 2 and 2 together, I know it was this crazy woman. It's got me sick. The complex sent her a warning that this behavior is unacceptable, but I really don't know what to do or how to feel. My first instinct is to respond with anger and physically defend myself and my family. Input is welcome and appreciated. I would say first things first, get some kind of deadbolt installed that's above where your 6-year-old can reach. Second, get yourself some kind of doorbell camera. Thankfully, Ring and Nest, they both have these nifty little things where they can be installed to the door so you don't need to drill into the house and they can just sit there. Only downside is once in a while you gotta pull it out and charge it. A little bit of a downside, but at least you have the safety and security of knowing you have a camera. I would say do not open the door for this woman again, and definitely do what you can to keep yourself safe, because these episodes for now, they might be pretty tame and pretty just rambly and spooky, but who knows if she might become violent in the future. This could be so many things, from a psychosis episode to severe reactions to new medication to God knows what, but you definitely got to make sure that you're secure, and also you're under no obligation to help her, as cruel as that may sound. It also wouldn't be a bad idea to look at what kind of resources your county or city may have to deal with situations like this that are beyond the police, because this is certainly frightening, but I think above all else, get yourself some kind of camera system, and also definitely get yourself some kind of locking mechanism for the door that your 6-year-old can't open, because, oh god, that could be bad in the future. Sam 6. Disrespectful neighbor is letting their dog ruin my patio. What can I do? I own a condo in a large complex with an enclosed courtyard terrace. I have a private ground-level patio, and the units above me have small balconies. One of the upstairs neighbors has a dog and uses puppy pads in their balcony for their dog to pee and poop, even though this isn't allowed. The problem? Puppy pads and even dog poop regularly get blown onto my patio. I've contacted management about this multiple times. They've included reminders in the weekly tenant newsletter that it's against the rules to let dogs use balconies as bathrooms, and have said offenders will be fined. But nothing has changed, and it's clear the guilty party doesn't care. A few weeks ago, a soiled puppy pad ended up on my outdoor couch, soaking through in the rain, and I had to throw out a cushion because it was saturated with dog urine. I reported it again, and management said they think they know who's responsible and reached out to them directly, but it's still happening. Just this past weekend, I found 2 soiled puppy pads in the bushes near my patio. I'm beyond frustrated. It's disgusting and disrespectful. I use my patio to eat, grill, and work from home on nice days, and I never know if I'm going to end up sitting in urine or dog shit. I don't know exactly who is doing this, but I've narrowed it down to about 4 neighboring condos that I know have dogs. I'm tempted to write a letter and slip it under the doors of all of the above units, saying something like, I don't know who's letting their dog pee and poop on their balcony, but I keep getting soiled puppy pads and dog poop blown onto my patio. This is a health hazard and disgusting. Please stop. Should I do this, or should I keep pushing management? I just want this to end, but nothing seems to be working. So, I'm not sure what should be done in a situation like this beyond continuing to press management and possibly just slowly reaching out to neighbors, because I doubt they're doing this on purpose. Chances are they put the puppy pad out, dog does the business, they leave it thinking they'll be able to reuse it, and the wind picks it up and blows it away. Or maybe they forget about it. I just struggle to think about, like, having the puppy pad blow away so many times and just thinking, you know what? This one won't blow away, and just repeating the process. It does reach a point, though, where it's obviously an act of negligence, where they understand that the pee pads and poop is just leaving and going somewhere, and they just can't be fucking bothered with where it goes. Or, I don't know, maybe they have a child who claims they're picking up when it gets blown away. There could be a lot of options, but it does reach a point where there is a certain point of negligence, and who knows? A letter probably wouldn't hurt, but still. I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to push management and also just ask questions as to what's going on, and don't be confrontational about it, just let them know what's happening, and that oftentimes you're the one who has to clean up their messes, but this should be done in a way where it doesn't appear to be confrontational, so there's no risk of things escalating and things being worse. And then if they continue, then you push and you start escalating things and escalating it to management and letting them know what had happened and all that kind of stuff. But that's my thought on this. If you guys have a better option and a better way of doing it, please comment it below, because I would definitely be curious in a situation like this what you all would do. Because I checked the Reddit comments, and some of them, and I can't fucking believe one of them said this, said that OP should sue over the couch cushion. And it's like, you motherfuckers, like, don't get it, do you? Yes, sue over a $30 cushion. That's a great idea. Thousands of dollars worth of legal fees later, and congratulations, they paid for your cushion. Just start by demanding for compensation for the ruined cushion, and if they decide not to, then you can probably let them know that you might explore legal action, but for the love of God, don't just jump right into doing legal action over a fucking couch cushion. Like, that is not a good use of your monetary resources or your time. Trust me. Historical Honey, 2114. Neighbor threatened us to move out. I need some advice about an ongoing issue with my neighbor. Both of us live in a middle unit townhouse. Our neighbor is a single mom with her son, which I'm guessing he's at least in middle school. He doesn't talk to us anymore. They've been banging on the living room walls multiple times, usually around 7 p.m., 6 p.m., and 5 p.m. At first, we didn't even realize we were making any noise, and we felt bad about it. So we tried to be as quiet as possible. We even started sleeping in the living room with our baby. However, after a while, things got confusing because we also need to sleep, and we could still hear her son using his TV in his bedroom past 10 p.m. They never really explained what kind of noise they were hearing. Then, the banging started. The first time we heard it, we thought it was something they were working on, but then, a few days later, there was another loud banging. My partner went to talk to her about it, but the conversation didn't go well. The mom started yelling, telling us we suck at trying to be quiet, and even threatened us. After that, we were kind of left guessing about what exactly was making the noise. The only thing we could think of is the TV, since it's mounted on the wall, and to address that, we bought speakers and started using nighttime audio settings to minimize any sound. Still, last night at 7 p.m., they banged on the wall again. We have a baby that we sleep with, but he sleeps next to us, so he doesn't really cry in the middle of the night, and we have a dog, but he doesn't bark unless someone's at the door, which is pretty rare. And our neighbor also has a dog, so we're pretty sure it's the TV causing the issue. But we don't want to stop using the TV just because of her. We've lived in apartments before, and we know how frustrating it can be to live next to noisy neighbors. We once lived next to a guy who would play video games and scream at night, so we understand the struggle of living with a shared wall. We've always tried to be considerate and keep noise levels down, but we're feeling a bit lost here, especially after the heated conversation with our neighbor. We're really trying to be respectful of their space and avoid causing any disturbances, but after the interaction, we're hesitant to approach them again. We just want to understand what's really bothering them, but we're unsure how to resolve this without causing more tension. Has anyone else experienced something like this with a neighbor? Any advice on how we should handle this or what we can do to avoid further conflict? Update. I wonder if what she's hearing is the sump pump. She told us what she's hearing goes on all day and night, but we work on the day and sleep at night, so that doesn't make sense. She also doesn't explain what kind of noise she was hearing, so we're never sure if it's the TV. I used to be so annoyed by the other neighbor because I thought she was opening and closing her garage in the middle of the night, and I just recently learned that our sump pump randomly makes those garage door noises, especially when it's been raining, and it has been raining. The past months were dry. We moved our sound bar to the other side of the room. If she still bangs on the wall, I'm pretty sure what she's hearing is the sump pump. I would definitely start by talking to the property manager and making them aware of the situation and see what they have to offer as some kind of explanation or mediation or something, because last thing you want is for her to be making a bunch of noise complaints and for you to be on the property manager's shit list. I would probably get ahead of this, get a paper trail, and yeah. If they were reasonable people and willing to listen, then my recommendation would have been to attempt to have a conversation and be like, hey, what are you hearing? We're not making any noise right now. Let's get to the bottom of this together. But with her being openly hostile, I don't know if that's really an option anymore. So definitely let the building manager know what's going on so they're aware of the fact that they might start getting noise complaints from this unit, and the fact that you're not making any noise and you're being as quiet as possible and trying to make as many accommodations as you possibly can, but it still continues. And if you own, contact the HOA or see if you can get them to agree to help pay for building modifications to add more noise insulation between the two walls, because that could certainly help. It's a damn shame that you've gone through this many accommodations and are still dealing with this, because that just sucks. Could also be worth just having a camera recording, and when they bang on the wall unprompted when no noise is being made, you can just send them the video and just be like, what the hell are you banging on the wall for? And that might help bring them to the negotiation table, but honestly, I have no idea. New assumption, 3836. My neighbor tried to poison my puppy. So we recently got a puppy. He's a bulldog mix and just turned 5 months old. We found him chewing on a mothball in the middle of our yard today. They are poisonous, and we thought maybe a cat or bird dropped it. We see cats going through frequently. Just to be safe, we looked around, and behind our garage there were 4 more mothballs. They look new, not dissolved, in very bright white. Only the neighbors directly behind us would have access. We've lived here around 3 years, and we've never owned mothballs. This neighbor has been a problem in the past. Mostly they were upset and confronted us right when we moved in, as we cut back crazy overgrowth of plants and grapevine that were climbing the 4 feet between the fence and our garage. What should we do? I want to say something like, hey, we found mothballs in our yard and they're poisonous to dogs, just to let them know we know. We also want to warn the neighbors behind us, but next to Nightmare Neighbor, because they too have a dog who may be in danger. Update. It's a day later, and so far I filed a police report. They should contact within 5 days with my case file. I talked to the other neighbors with dogs. They walked his fence line and there were no mothballs to be seen. Today, in daylight, we found 4 more mothballs. They're in a plastic baggie, making it a total of 9 found in our yard. My sister thinks she can see a piece of broken mothball on the Neighbors from Hell side of the fence. We are still looking for the camera system we want because of the holidays, money is a little tight. We've only been letting the puppy out with someone while on a leash. No side effects so far from his chewing the mothball. He hasn't vomited or had diarrhea. If you're already considering cameras, I wouldn't confront the neighbor. I would just simply install the cameras and wait, because if you can get physical evidence of them dropping the mothballs into your yard, that's going to go a long way for the police report. If you confront them, it could lead to them either escalating things with poisoning your dog or trying new ways to hide them from you and making it less obvious. So definitely try to spare a camera system. You can get a Amazon Blink or a Google Nest camera for like $50 to $100 and just install it covertly so it can't be seen, and watch and wait. That's going to be a lot more than confronting them, because if you keep finding mothballs and it wasn't a one-time thing, especially with how poisonous they are to dogs, that is definitely malicious. Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget this whole thing is basically brought to you by GamerSupps. If you like caffeine, then I can't recommend GamerSupps enough. Use code Oz at checkout to support the channel. And I do actually use this product. It's replaced all other sources of caffeine for me because I feel good. It doesn't have any of that extra stuff that a pre-workout blend might have. It's with a couple of the extra things to make it so you don't crash as hard. It's good. I like it. Personally, if you really want a good flavor, try the Soda Press and Pear or even the Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are my personal favorites right now.